Hey everyone, Yan Zhao here. Today, talking about Allegiance Art's new pack that just got mailed out to backers. We've got the Futurists, Bass Reves, and Norah Saga, missing Red Rooster. But is is Allegiance Art's the last great hope for comics? Hey everyone, so Allegiance Art is started by the Breitweisers, Mitch Breitweiser, who generally does the pencils and inks, and his wife, Elizabeth Breitweiser, the famous colorist, worked on many things, DC, Marvel, Image as well. So they, let's say, ran afoul of some people, I guess you might say, in the great purge of 2016, 17, 18. And they came out swinging, started a crowdfunder for Red Rooster in 2018. Red Rooster has been a disappointment because it is MIA. And it's something they, in general, don't seem to want to talk about. They did come out, I don't know, a year ago, several months ago, I can't remember. And they said it's because they have a deal with Walmart where they're going to have a kiosk and have at least those 4 series for sale in Walmart stores. Now, the Red Rooster, no one has seen hide nor hair of it. Supposedly it's coming. But the three other series that they later did a crowdfunder for, the Futurists, Bass Reves, and Norah Saga, have come out. They did get it out to the backers before it came out in Walmart. I think Walmart, it's supposed to come out in May of 2020. It is currently the beginning or middle of March 2020. So they got a couple months. Now, why would I say this is the last great hope? Comics years ago used to be ubiquitous. Any gas station, any convenience store, any grocery store, I would assume Walmarts back then, which weren't that big, would also carry them. Kids could find comics anywhere. They were sort of the gateway drug or gateway locations. Kids would read them, get into them, and then they would graduate on to actual comic book stores. No one is going to go to a comic book store if they don't know comic books are a thing. There used to be spinner racks by the grocery checkout aisles. You used to see them. Kids would leaf through them while parents were checking out. They would beg, and of course parents would give in. That's how many of us got started. Now, you don't find that anymore. Now it's just the direct market. This is an attempt to go back in time. Since we've lost kind of a generation of comic readers, a lot of kids just don't know what they are. To that point, I did the Alternoween special last year for Halloween, and I gave it away, and a lot of people were very confused. The parents loved it. They thought it was a great idea. The kids were like, what are these? Even to the point where I had one little girl go and tell her mom, she said, "Mommy, this man gave us magazines." So I assumed they checked it to make sure I wasn't like giving him copies of the Watchtower or something. So now we have a commitment by a major retailer, Walmart, to have the books in their own kiosk. Now we know that DC had a deal to have their books in there, and it was sad. There was that pathetic video of Jim Lee looking just like the saddest character ever, fixing his books on the shelf, next to some Peeps that were left over from last Easter. So these are 3 of the 4 books that are going to start them off. You've got the Futurist, which is sort of a magical, mystical steampunk set in the 1800s I believe in England as well as in India. You've got Bass Reves, based on a real character, one of the greatest lawmen who lived in Arkansas. And then we have Norah's Saga, which is a half modern day, half Viking epic where a girl apparently goes back in time, maybe, to live out the Norse legend days, probably in Eastern Canada. So let's go through a quick review of each one. Now, the Futurists was the one that I was most interested in. I have to say the other two I was like, kind of you've got Butch Guise with amazing pencils. Patrick Stiles is the writer and also, I guess, co-creator. Rick Magyar, letting Hungarians in here, I guess. He inked, I guess, the second half. The colorists, Mitch and Elizabeth Breitweiser. I don't know how much who did of what, but Mitch does have a few streams of himself coloring. Actually, I think it was this page and this page. So if you're interested in how these came about, definitely go check that out on the Allegiance Art YouTube page. So I have to say this is still probably my favorite. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal. The colors are amazing. The inks. And this is what Marvel and DC wish they were. To my money, DC still has a few good artists who are there, but they're becoming few and far between. With the Sean Gordon Murphy kerfuffle that happened this week, it kind of makes me wonder if they're going to start losing more competent artists and storytellers. Not necessarily that they want to jump ship and become independent, but that there's going to be the crew who find some reason to object to them and try to take them out. But this book is absolutely amazing. So we end up with sort of a Raj or a guru. He looks kind of white, but they say he's from India at some point. We find that there is this Haji-looking character. He comes in and he should be around the age of this guy. He's not. He wants to consult the Oracle, which is some kind of a skull with a eyeball there. And so we get the mystical sense. Then we fast forward to 1857 in India. And we end up with the main character. So they have, somebody is sending them to look for mystical artifacts as well as treasure. There's a massacre. He tries to prevent it. Blah, blah, blah. His wife finds him in an army hospital during the middle of an uprising. I mean, it is good stuff. Highly recommended. When this comes out, if you haven't gotten this, the quote-unquote Founders Edition, I highly recommend grabbing this at Walmart. Now, one thing that, as a customer, I'm not very happy about is these were supposed to be autographed, and this is what we got. Now, this is the one for Norah Saga, which we'll get to in a second. But you can see they all signed like this piece of paper. Like, dude, I gave you money. I gave you more money than I would have as a sign of good faith because I want this company to do well. I gave more money for this Indiegogo than if I would have bought it at Walmart. And this is what you give me? Dude, I understand. Like, it would be hard to get Blake in one place to sign it, and who knows where Kelsey is. I think Patrick Stiles is, I think he's in Arkansas, I'm not sure. But, like, I don't know, dude. There's, I wish them well, I hope this succeeds, but at the same time, you know, it's kind of a lot of, like, bad face to the customers, man. Like, sign the actual book. I wanted the book signed, not, you know, some random piece of paper. Now, this does say Founders Edition right here in the corner, which I assume the ones at Walmart will not have, but, you know, I'm doing you a solid. The least you could do is show me that respect back. All right, next one, Norah Saga, which I have to say, I am pleasantly surprised about. So this one, we have Blake Northcott, who is an excellent writer. I think she's going to be doing a Catwoman series soon. You might want to check out. Kelsey Shannon on art. Chris Kendrick design and layout. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if that means he did thumbs and Kelsey drew over them or what. Let's see. Patrick Stiles again. Eric Weathers. Let's see. And I guess Kelsey must have done these colors. All right, so it starts off, this girl, her mom is a museum curator, Vikings in Canada. This takes place in Canada. Her dad's kind of a smart-ass mechanic. And briefly sets up the story. She learns a lot about Norse stuff. They live out in the country. This thing, Wendigo, whatever, potentially jumps out at them, and she wakes up. So we don't know if this is all a dream or if she's remembering. Well, it is a dream because she woke up, but is it like fantastical? Did it happen this way? Did it not happen this way? We don't really know. Somehow her mother died, and they just moved to the city. I would assume maybe in Ontario. It doesn't seem like they're in Quebec. But she goes to school. She's dressed in floppy hat, is what they call it, and ripped up jeans. It's very funny because the other girls make fun of her for looking like she's out of the 90s, which is probably why I like the design. So she doesn't like it. She talks her dad into going to the mall to get a new dress so she can show up those girls at school. Deer pops out of the road. Very common in Canada, if you've ever been there. All right. So they go in the river, and then she wakes up. This dude breaks her out of the ice. And they immediately think she's a witch, which, I mean, good call. I would sort of think it too. She calls out during a wolf attack. They're taking her back somewhere. And we get into the present where they find the dad, who I think is okay. And then looks like some sort of Canadian government whatever. They say here, it coincides with the massive power surge at the nearest cell tower. This can't be a coincidence. I think it's happening again. So we don't know what's going on. They mentioned Loki. They mentioned different gods. But then this must have happened before. Something happened before. Very funny. If any of you have been to Canada, it's pretty awesome. I have relatives there. Making fun of Nelfies, going to Tim Hortons. It's very clear that Blake is a Canadian. Fantastic work in the back. I would probably buy a book of the art of the, like an ash can of this. By Kelsey Shannon, Matt Weldon. Where are you? All right, and the last one, Bass Reves. I have to say, I was not at all interested in this, and it is generally not the style that I like, but it's actually pretty good. So it's written by Kevin Grievous, the son of General Grievous, maybe, by David Williams, artist. Kelsey Shannon comes back to do the colors. I like that it's kind of different. Norah and the Futurists were very much Team Breitweiser style colors. This is a little bit different. Let's see, again, Eric Weathers, John Williams of comic books. So it's about this lawman, Bass Reves. One thing that is very interesting to me is, they're talking about the story of him and whatnot, how scary he is, 9 foot tall, black as coal. He once lifted an ox over his head, and they hear this church song singing here, and he's got his catchphrase. His winnowing fork is in his hand, and he will clear his threshing floor, gather his wheat into the barn, and burning up the chaff with unquenchable fire. Will you be gathered like wheat or burn like chaff? So he's pretty much a badass, but he is like a hardcore Christian. I don't know how much of that is true and how much is false. I would assume that it is relatively accurate. We see him, he has a farm, he's sort of working it. He's got a son, his son wants to learn how to shoot. He's like, yeah, maybe later. He clearly doesn't want his son to do the things that he did. But his son witnesses bank robbery in their town. Son's okay, but he feels obligated to make it safer. 3 months later, he winds up with these guys. This, I guess, is the real Bass Reves. And very interesting, by the time he retired, after 32 years in law enforcement, laid claim to apprehending more than 3,000 fugitives, facing down some of the most dangerous criminals America has ever known. Hailed for his marksmanship, detective skills, and unwavering moral code that in one particular dark-telling chapter even saw him arrest his son for murder. So I think I'm going to have to start making regular Walmart runs and pick these up once they actually start. Bass Reves has made me a convert. So the 3 of these books, Bass Reves, Norah Saga, and the Futurists, I highly recommend all 3. They're great in the sense that they are adventure books, but they're family friendly. You can give this to a younger kid. I don't know if 6 is quite the right age. 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there, certainly. But it has enough interest for older kids and adults. Allegiance art has the quality. It's got the writing, it's got the art, it's got the colors, it's got everything it needs. But is today's world still one where you can go out and buy comics at an average store, or have comics become just a specialty item, a very niche market for those of us who are aging? I don't know. Only the future will tell, but good luck, Allegiance Art.